Namaste. So I'm going to read Book 3, Chapter 14 on the narration of the glories of the Devi. Om Vakratuna Mahakaya Surya Koti Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Prasad. Hari Om Tat Sat. Janamajaya spoke, O Dvija, I have heard in detail the Devi Yajna performed by Shri Vishnu. Now describe her glory and glorious deeds. After hearing these, the Devi's glorious deeds, I will also perform that, the best of all sacrifices. Thereby I will no doubt be pure through your favor. Vyasa said, O king, here I am describing to you the history of the most auspicious mighty deeds of the Devi, according to the Puranas. In days of yore, there reigned in a country of Kosala, the king Dhruvasandi of the Solar dynasty. He was the son of Puspa and celebrated on account of his great prowess. He was truthful, religious, engaged in doing good to his subjects, obeying the laws of the 4 castes and ashramas. He, being pure, performed his regal duties in the flourishing city of Ayodhya. The Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras, and other good persons all live religiously under his rule, each abiding by his own profession. No thieves, cheats, cunning persons, vain and arrogant persons, treacherous and illiterate men were allowed to remain in his kingdom. A host of Kurus, thus ruling virtuously, the king had 2 wives, both of them young, fair, and beautiful, and well able to give delights and enjoyments to the king. The first and lovely wife was Manorama, and the second was Lilavati. Both of them were exceedingly handsome, intelligent, and qualified. The king enjoyed much with them in places, gardens, romantic hills, lakes, and various beautiful mansions. In the auspicious moment, Manorama gave birth to a beautiful child, endowed with all royal qualifications. The child was named in due course Sudarsana. Next, within 1 month, the second wife, the fair Lilavati, in the auspicious fortnight and in the auspicious day, gave birth to an excellent child. The king then performed the Jatakarma ceremonies on the birth of a child, and being very glad, made lots of presents, wealth, etc. to the Brahmanas. The king showed affection equally to the 2 children. Never he made any distinction between them. The king, the tormentor of the foes, was very glad and performed duly the Chudakarana ceremony according to his position and wealth. The sight of these 2 sons delighted very much the people. Now seeing these Krita Chudas and playing, the king was merged in the ocean of pleasure. Sudarsana was the eldest, but Satrujit, the second beautiful son by Lilavati, was of sweet and persuasive speech. His beautiful figure and sweet words gave much delight to the king, and for these qualities the child Satrujit turned out also a favorite of the people and ministers. The king could not show so much affection to the unfortunate Sudarsana as he showed to Satrujit. Thus some days having passed, one day the king Dhruvasandi went out on a hunting expedition to the forest. He killed in the forest many deer, ruru, a kind of hare, elephants, boar, hare, buffaloes, rhinoceros, camels, and amused himself very much with this hunting affair. While he was hunting thus, a lion got very much enraged, and from a bush suddenly jumped and came upon the king. The king of the beast was already struck with arrows. Now, seeing the king in front, he loudly roared. He angrily lifted his long tail high up in the air and, puffing up his manes, jumped up high in the air to attack and to take the life of the king. Seeing this, instantly the king took sword in his right hand and shield in his left, and stationed himself like another lion before him. The king's followers, one and all, angrily shot arrows at the lion. Then a loud uproar ensued, and all began to hurl arrows at best as they could. But after all, that dangerous lion fell upon the king. Seeing thus, the king struck him with his sword, but the lion also tore asunder the king with his sharp nails. The king, thus struck by the lion, fell on the spot and died. The soldiers cried aloud and killed the lion with arrows. Thus both the king and lion lay dead on the spot, and the soldiers turned back to the palace and gave all the information to the royal ministers. When the Munis heard the demise of the king, they went to the forest, performed the burning of the dead body of the king. The Maharishi Vashishta performed duly on the same spot all the funeral ceremonies, thus ensuring the king the safe journey to the next world. All the subjects and the citizens and the Muni Vashishta counseled each other to install Sudarshana on the throne as the king. The minister-in-chief, as well as the other members, proposed that, as Sudarshana is the son of the legal wife, calm and quiet, beautiful and endowed with all the royal qualifications, he is fit for the throne. Maharishi Vashishta said the royal son, though not attained to proper age, is still religious, therefore he is really fit to be installed as king on the royal throne. When the wise aged ministers thus decided, Yudhajit, the king of Ujjain, on hearing the decision, hastened to the spot. He was the father of Lilavati. On hearing the demise of his son-in-law, he came there so that his daughter's son might get the kingdom. Next, Virasena, the king of the country, and Kalinga, and the father of Manorama came there also with the object that his daughter's son, Sudarshana, be the emperor. The two kings, accompanied respectively by their own army and soldiers, began to counsel with the aged ministers, each trying so that his daughter's son may get the throne. Yudhajit made the question, who is the eldest of the two sons? It is always the case that the eldest will inherit the kingdom. Will not the youngest ever be able to acquire it? Virasena said, O king, he who is the son of the legal wife inherits the kingdom. This I have heard from the learned who are proficient in the knowledge of the sastras. Hearing Virasena, Yudhajit repeated, Sudarsana is not so qualified with royal qualifications and other matters as the son of the late king, Satrujit. How can then Sudarsana inherit the throne? O king, then quarrels ensued amongst the two kings. Now, as this crucial juncture, who is able to solve the doubts? Yudhajit then addressed the ministers, you all are prompted by selfish ends. You want to acquire a good deal of money by making Sudarsana the king. I have come to know by your gestures and postures that your decision is to the above effect. After all, as Satrujit possesses many more qualifications than Sudarsana, he has more claims to the throne, and therefore he is fit to occupy the throne and no other. Moreover, let me see, as long as I live, who can set aside the claims of a qualified prince in possession of an army and put forward the claims of a prince who has no qualifications at all. I am ready to fight, and I will tear the earth into two pieces by my sword. What more have you to say to this? Hearing this, Virasena addressed Yudhajit. I see the two boys' intelligence the same. You are intelligent. Kindly mention where is the difference, O king? The two kings, quarreling with each other, remained there. The subjects and the rishis, seeing this, were very anxious. Hundreds of tributary princes, wanting that the two kings might be involved into quarrels with each other, came to the spot with their soldiers, though they had to undergo great hardships in doing so. Many aborigines from the inhabitants of Shringavirpur hearing the demise of the late king, also appeared on the scene with the sole object to plunder. The two princes are minors, and hearing their parties at war with each other, many robbers and various adjoining countries came also there. Thus, when the war broke out between the two kings, the great confusion and tumult across within the kingdoms, on the other hand, Yudhishthira and Virasena both became ready to fight. Thus ends the 14th chapter on the narration of the glories of the Devi and the death of Kosala, King Dhruva, Sandi, in the 3rd Adhyaya of Srimad Devi Bhagavatam. Om Jayanti Mangala Kali, Bhadra Kali Kapalindra Gakshma Shivdati Swasura Masute. Om Om Tia Mata Chavita